particular. So practical implications, and we're at 7:30. So homeowners, even if you're not thinking to sell your house anytime soon, make sure to refinance your mortgage if you haven't done it yet. So in the last few years, and I've actually, during the holidays, I go around and try to meet my clients, and there are some of them who got their loans at 5%, 4.5%, and I say, have you gotten a refinance? They go, no, I guess we should. I'm like, yes. So if you haven't done it, and if you're over 4%, if you're in the 5s or 6s definitely, and you haven't refinanced, please be sure to talk to a loan agent and see if it might be worth it for you to do a refinance. Consider adding an additional dwelling unit, so an ADU to your home, to increase value, help with the housing stock that we need. Yes.
People say that, but does adding an ADU to your house in Millbrae
add value?
increase the value?
We're not sure yet. So that's something that I'm kind of looking at, because there's no way right now in the MLS to account for ADU versus non-ADU. I think it definitely does increase as the square footage, and it also helps to be able to say you have rental potential.
For renting, yes, but I think the buyer's market, you're going to get a different buyer that's going to want a single-family house without an ADU versus one that has an ADU. You might. So that's the question. So in some cases, would you have a buyer who says, well, I don't really want an extra unit in the back, and that could hurt me? I've seen some people who will value it just purely by square footage and say, well, that adds square footage to your house. So if it's $1,000 a square foot and you have a 700 square foot ADU, then you added $70,000. I don't think it's that straightforward. But on the other hand, if somebody is looking at, first of all, one thing that I've seen a lot, like in a city like Millbrae, is extended families. A lot of people bringing in, and so there's one street in Millbrae right backing up to 280, Highway 280, and there are 3 in a row that are being built. And I was able to see one of them as I was walking around, and they are building the back. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, ADU, high ceilings, 1,000 square feet. And it's beautiful, and it's going to be for their parents, their older parents, elderly parents, to be able to live fully detached in the backyard. And it looks beautiful. I haven't seen it finished yet, but it's going to be something that they can do. So, and I'm on the Planning Commission in Millbrae, and a lot of the projects that come through are people who have extended family. They want to take care of their aging parents, or they want their parents to take care of their children. All of that. And so they're trying to, there are a lot of people who are trying to build up, but if you have something that's an ADU, that could be a great option for somebody who has not extra, but they have more family, extended family that they want to bring in. The other option is, since the prices are so high, it's attractive to be able to have rental potential to help offset the cost of the mortgage. We have people who, when I look at their statements, my clients who are buying houses, and they're committing to $10,000 a month or $15,000 a month, and how much in property taxes. It's wild to think about that. And so being able to have that rental potential is attractive to people. So it remains to be seen, because I've seen some ADUs that are done not so well, and I think that actually detracts from their value. And it's such a new thing that it's only been happening within the last couple of years that I think we still have yet to see what actual impact it's going to have on the value of a home. It's like a swimming pool to me. Sometimes people will say, is it a plus to have a swimming pool? And I go, well, not always, right? Because some people don't want to deal with the hassle of a swimming pool. And if I'm living in Pacifica where there's a lot of fog, I don't really want a pool. I'm hardly going to be out there. So depends, just really depends. And I think ADUs might act like that. That's my thought about it. Did you have somebody had a question back there? Oh, yes.
Yeah, because I think Brenda was actually calculating, it's not, the construction cost of ADU doesn't make it worth it sometimes.
Right, so just for everybody else, I'm sorry, your name, I forgot. Sylvia was mentioning that a friend did the calculations of the cost, and it's not worth the cost of putting in an ADU. And I think that just, again, it depends on what your needs are. So it could depend on what your needs are, how much it's going to cost, what kind of an ADU that you're going to make. And there are different
there are a lot of different options. So San Mateo County actually has, it's called Second Unit Center, and they actually have an online calculator where you can adjust for square footage, detached, attached, which city you're living in, what kind of construction you want to do, and you can calculate it out to get the prices going. But it will differ, I think, depending on what you want to do. But in general, the thought is, you have that extra square footage. If somebody doesn't want to rent it out, they can use it as a studio. You can use it for an adult child or an older parent, or there are so many different options that you could have with that space. And because the restrictions, it helps you build a little more than what you could possibly do with the current zoning restrictions that you may have in your area. So sometimes people think that. You might want to think of, if you're going to be updating your home, you might want to be able to update that for your enjoyment while you stay in place. As I said, people are staying in their homes longer. The turnaround for what you can get, it depends on what you're doing in terms of remodeling, but that's just something to consider. If you're planning to sell your home in the near future, there's still a good outlook, at least for the next year or two, and it's good to start planning now. It's really important to keep aware the importance of pricing correctly. So I did mention most of the homes in our area, sell within 2 to 3 weeks, but there are homes out there that are taking much longer to sell. And one of the biggest factors in that is how you price. So if you price, if a seller thinks, well, that house down the street, I've had this conversation with many people, that house down the street sold for $1.5 million. Mine is so much better, so I think I can get $2 million for it. And this is not unrealistic conversation. These are conversations that I've had. And just because the market has been increasing, anything is possible, but if you're going to be realistic, it's important to be realistic and to be able to price it in such a way that your house is not the one that stays for a long time. Because there is that effect where if it's been on the market over a month in our area, the buyers start going, hey, what's wrong with that house? Maybe I can get a deal. That's the mentality happening. So just be very, very intentional about pricing and know your market, know your neighborhood. And then do whatever it takes to present the home well. So even with the limited inventory, prices that are so high, the high prices mean that buyers are going to be more selective. If I'm paying $1.5 to $2 million on a home, do you think I'm going to want it to be nice? Probably, right? So that's been more of the trend. And so whether it be staging, whether it be some cosmetic fixes and all of that, we highly recommend that, just because the buyers tend to be, yes, it is a logical decision, but many times it is also a very emotional decision. And so when someone walks into a home and thinks, oh, I can live here, that can make all the difference in terms of what you get in the end. For home buyers, so if you're planning to buy a home in the near future, don't expect prices to come down anytime soon, because the thought out there is that prices are probably going to stay about the same, maybe go up a little bit higher. In some areas, it might come down. So it all depends on the local market. But I have buyers who I met about 5-6 years ago, and they were trying to buy a condo in San Mateo, and they said, well, we think it's going to pop. The bubble's going to pop, so we're just going to wait. And they're still waiting, and I feel really bad. So, because they just never decided to pull the trigger, and they actually saw a few houses that units that they really liked, but they just couldn't wrap their mind around paying $500,000 for a 1-bedroom condo in San Mateo at that time. And now you're looking at least 7, 8 or more, So, and it has not gone down, but that was their thinking. So, if you are thinking to buy property in the future, I think it's probably stay about the same. And if you find something that you really like, that's more important, I think, than anything else. Anticipate a bidding war, just because the inventory levels are expected to continue to be low. And so today, as I was preparing for this, I got a text from one of my agents who is, her clients are thinking to write an offer on a house in San Mateo. The asking price is a little over $1.1 million. They have 50 disclosures out right now. So usually, if depending on the number of disclosures requested, we expect about a third to a half will actually become offers. So maybe about 20 offers. So anybody who says, "Oh, the market's all slow and it's all cooled down," you just really, I mean, they priced it well, it shows well, and they're going to be probably going significantly over asking price. So expect that those bidding wars, if the house is attractive, is going to still be there. And then make sure to, if you're a buyer, again, take advantage of the low interest rates, because 1% change can mean 10%, approximately 10% in buying power. So that can make a huge difference. For investors, be intentional about purchasing and selling real estate. So we're not expecting prices to change significantly in the coming year. So really cash flow and tax considerations, I think those are more important than the prices at this point. So be very intentional about what you do. Speak with a CPA, a financial planner. This is my good segue to our next seminar, which will be, I have a financial planner who will be speaking about real estate as part of your investment portfolio. And he's actually, again, a financial planner and helped his clients to be able to think of real estate as part of the investment portfolio and to be able to continue to buy up and trade up to where they have multifamily units and commercial property and different things like that. So just be very intentional, be very careful as you move forward. I say this because I think everybody here looks to me like very careful people, but there are many out there who are just buying and selling because it's kind of fun, and you think, well, prices are going to increase, and so we should be fine. It's not necessarily the case, so just be very careful. Be aware of state and local legislation regarding your rental values and restrictions, because that is changing. And we did have a very big change this past year with the Tenant Protection Act that is effective January 1st of this year. So if you do have investment property and you don't know about that, please contact me or contact your property manager and make sure that you're aware of that and the other laws that are going to be continuing to come up in the state and also in the cities. So be aware of those. In conclusion, this is from Leslie Appleton Young, the chief economist, again, of California Association. She said, "There is no such thing as a bad market. Markets go up and down. Plan for it and you will succeed." And I think that's really the important takeaway more than anything else, is just to plan for the market as it is and not to be afraid. For my home buyers, I actually had written on there, don't be intimidated, don't be discouraged, because sometimes it can be like, okay, affordability is like this and getting a loan is so hard and it's going to be competitive and all of that. Don't be discouraged. I think it's important to stay positive about the market, and I've seen things happen in ways that I think as we stay positive, it actually can all come together. And not every seller out there is going to be like, you have to give me every dime off, the dime off your back. Is that the right? Anyway, you have to give me every dime you can afford. There are many times when I've had situations where we're not necessarily the highest offer, we're not necessarily the best offer, but for some reason things came together and we were able to get a house for a client. So don't be afraid, I think. So this is, again, our upcoming seminar. It's going to be on February 26th, so, and same time, 6:30. And I apologize for the people who thought it was 6 this time, for our mistake. So it will be February 26th. And then further announcements for the rest of this year. We do have others besides these, but for sure, we are planning to do another seminar on 1031 exchanges. We will be doing a seminar on estate planning, and if you have real estate, and if you have children, or if you have children, make sure you have an estate plan in place. I've dealt with, and actually my sister even had a situation where her mother-in-law passed away and didn't have an estate plan, and they had to pretty much let property go because it wasn't worth the expense that it would take to get that property. So it's for the sake of our loved ones that we do so. So if you don't have it in place, you don't have to come to the seminar, but make sure you have, or you can come to the seminar, but make sure you have a plan in place. We will do one on remodeling tips and trends, on ADUs, and then the propositions. So those are some of them that we're planning to do, and hopefully have more throughout the year. Please make sure you're on our email list. So I think most of you are, but if not, please make sure to put your email on our list.
before you leave. And in your folders, we do offer property management services. So there's a brochure on the services that we can do to help you manage your property. And then shredding party. So please save the date, April 4th at Mills High School. We'll be doing document shredding and e-waste recycling. And it's free of charge. And we just raise money for, we collect donations for Mills High School. So please make sure to save the date for that. And thank you for joining us. I have little red envelopes for everybody. So please make sure you take some. And then there's no money in here. I'm sorry? Yes. So there's fake money in here. It's chocolate, which I think is better than money sometimes. So please make sure to get one before you go. And then I have extra containers for food in the back, so you're welcome to pack some and take some with you. But thank you so much for joining us.